So here's a question that seems pretty straightforward. Why isn't there a bridge or maybe a tunnel connecting Europe and Africa right across the Strait of Gibraltar?
Hmm.
When you look at it on a map, it just seems obvious, right? The distance is incredibly short.
Yeah, it's tiny. Just 14 kilometers.
Exactly. I mean, that's shorter than driving across some cities. Easily doable in, what, half an hour?
Easily.
Right.
Yet here we are, centuries of people wanting to do it, amazing engineering happening elsewhere,
But nothing there.
nothing there. So let's talk about why this tiny bit of water is so incredibly important globally speaking.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. This isn't just about Spain and Morocco. It's a massive global choke point.
How massive are we talking?
Well, think about this. Over 100,000 ships pass through every single year, and about 18,000 of those are oil tankers.
Wow.
We're talking 33% of the world's oil and gas, roughly 50% of all global trade.
Half.
Yep.
Through that one little strait, half. And for the European Union, it's even more stark. Something like 80% of their merchandise trade relies on that 14-kilometer gap.
What kind of merchandise?
Everything. Electronics, raw materials, clothes, cars, you name it. It comes through Gibraltar. So many countries in Europe, Africa, Asia depend heavily on it.
Okay, so the strategic importance is just immense. Any blockage there would cause chaos.
Complete chaos.
And yet, like you said, for over 100 years, people have tried and failed to build this link. It's not like we don't know how to build big things, right?
Not at all. Look at China, the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. 4 times longer than this strait, and they built it in 9 years.
Right. Or the Channel Tunnel between the UK and France. That's 50 kilometers long. Took them 6 years.
Exactly. Or burrowing through the Swiss Alps. The Gotthard-based tunnel is 57 kilometers long through solid rock.
So if we can do all that,
Yeah.
what is the secret? What's going on in the Strait of Gibraltar that's defeated engineers time and time again?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's what we're going to dig into today.
Okay, so where do we start? To really grasp the scale of the challenge, maybe we should look back at one of the wildest ideas ever proposed for this region.
Ah, you must mean Project Atlantropa from the 1920s.
That's the one. For anyone listening who hasn't heard of this, it sounds like something out of science fiction. What was the idea? Who was behind it?
The mind behind it was a German architect, Hermann Sergel.
Okay.
And his idea wasn't just ambitious, it was, well, completely audacious.
Go on.
He wanted to basically drain the Mediterranean Sea.
Drain it. The entire
The
Mediterranean.
entire thing, to create a new supercontinent, which he called Atlantropa. And that would physically connect Europe and Africa. No bridge needed.
Okay, my mind is slightly blown already. How on earth did he propose doing that?
His main plan hinged on building a truly gigantic hydroelectric dam right at the Strait of Gibraltar.
A dam there.
A massive one. He figured this dam would, over time, lower the Mediterranean's water level by about 660 feet. And doing that would expose huge areas of land along the coasts. New land for farming, for living. Plus, the dam itself would generate enormous amounts of power for both continents.
It sounds almost too big to even imagine. Was it just the one dam? Or was it more complex?
Oh, it was incredibly complex. He really thought it through, in a way. It wasn't just the Gibraltar Dam. His plan involved a whole network of, I think, 7 extra dams.
7 more? Where?
Well, one at the Dardanelles, for instance, to control the water coming from the Black Sea. Another between Sicily and Tunisia to manage the flow within the Med itself.
Okay, so he was thinking about the whole system. What about ships? If the Med is 660 feet lower, how do ships get in from, say, the Red Sea via the Suez Canal?
Good question. He had an answer for that, too. He proposed expanding the Suez Canal and installing a series of lock chambers, kind of like they have in the Panama Canal, to lift and lower ships between the different water levels.
It's comprehensive, I'll give him that. A total re-engineering of the region.
Absolutely. It captured that, early 20th century belief that humanity could reshape the planet through sheer will and engineering.
And Sergel himself, he really pushed this, didn't he, for years?
He did. People described him as very confident, a great storyteller. He spent basically his whole life lobbying governments, giving talks, writing books about Atlantropa, right up until he died in 1952.
But despite all that passion, all that vision, it never happened. It stayed a dream. What stopped it? What were the real-world hurdles?
Well, there were several massive ones. First, just the cost. It would have been astronomical. Billions, maybe trillions in today's money, just for testing these huge dams in those rough waters, let alone building them.
Okay, cost is a big one. What else?
Then there's the environmental impact, draining a sea. The ecological damage would have been catastrophic on a scale we probably can't even fully grasp. Totally unknown consequences for marine life, climate, everything.
Yeah, hard to imagine that getting approved today.
Impossible. And finally, honestly, the technology just wasn't there in the 1920s. Building something that massive, holding back that much water, it was beyond the capabilities of the time.
So Atlantropa faded away with Serval. But the core idea, just connecting the continents, that didn't die, did it?
No, not at all. It just shifted towards something, well, slightly more realistic. Fast forward to the late 1970s.
Right, Spain was changing then, wasn't it? Coming out of the Franco dictatorship.
Exactly. Spain became a monarchical democracy, and this opened the door for better relations with Morocco. A thawing, you could say.
And that led to something concrete.
It did. In 1979, King Juan Carlos I of Spain and King Hassan II of Morocco signed a really important agreement. They formally agreed to work together to finally link their countries across the strait.
Okay, so the political will was there, at least between the leaders. What happened next?
They set up dedicated companies in 1980. Spain created SECEGSA, and Morocco created SNED. Their job was basically figure out how to do this, start the detailed investigations of the strait itself.
And how did those first investigations go in the 90s? Smooth sailing.
Anything but. It was, let's just say, a real struggle. They learned pretty quickly just how difficult the strait is to work in.
What happened?
Well, in 1991, they sent out a ship called the Nautilus. It was supposed to drill just 5 meters into the seabed to take samples. Couldn't do it. The mission failed.
Just 5 meters. Why?
We'll get to the why in a moment, but yeah. Then, the next year, they tried again with another ship, the Polis. Its drill rod just snapped, broke clean off, and the whole ship started vibrating so violently they had to abandon the mission immediately.
Jeez. Sounds like the strait was actively fighting back.
It really did seem that way. They had other missions fail too. Ships just couldn't anchor properly. They were tossed around too much. Sonar couldn't even get reliable depth readings sometimes.
You can just picture the frustration. Those engineers on the Nautilus, the Polas, thinking they have the tech, but the environment is just impossible. What makes it so uniquely ferocious there?
Okay, so this is where the oceanography gets really interesting. The strait is basically a choke point.
A choke point between what?
Between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea,
Yeah.
you've got warmer, less dense water from the Med. It's closer to the equator, saltier too, trying to flow out into the Atlantic near the surface.
Okay.
And underneath, you've got colder, denser water from the Atlantic influenced by Arctic melt, trying to push its way into the Mediterranean along the bottom.
So two massive bodies of water, very different, colliding in this narrow gap.
Exactly. And that difference in temperature and density creates incredibly powerful swirling currents. It's called upwelling. One report described it like the whole strait being filled with innumerable whirlpools.
Whirlpools? Seriously, how fast are these currents?
The surface currents alone can hit speeds of at least 11 kilometers per hour. That's pretty fast for water.
Okay, I can see how that would make anchoring a ship really difficult.
Now add wind. The winds blowing through the strait can reach speeds up to 108 kilometers per hour.
Wow. So you've got whirlpool-like currents and hurricane-force winds sometimes.
You get the picture. Trying to keep a survey ship perfectly still in those conditions to drill a precise hole, almost impossible. That's why those early missions got, well, violently rejected.
Makes sense. But despite all that, they did eventually manage to map out some possibilities, right, by 1997?
They did. Against the odds, they identified 2 main potential routes. The first was called the Canyon Route, that's the shortest one, just 14 kilometers, running between Punta Canales in Spain and Punta Ceres in Morocco.
The direct shot.
Pretty much. The second option was the Threshold Route, longer, about 28 kilometers, and a bit further west, between Punta Paloma and Punta Malabada.
Okay, so 2 options on the table. Canyon and Threshold. Now, while all this official, tough survey work was going on, wasn't there someone else thinking completely outside the box?
Ah, yes. Miles away in America, there was this engineer, Eugene Tsui, a bit of a maverick. He was working on a totally different concept.
What was his idea?
He was looking at the shorter canyon route, but he thought, forget traditional bridges with massive pillars, forget deep tunnels. He had this idea for a floating bridge, inspired by nature.
A floating bridge. Across the Strait of Gibraltar, with those currents.
Sounds crazy, right? But his design was really innovative. He called it a sea snake.
The sea snake.
Yeah. Picture this. It starts from Tarifa in Spain, like a normal bridge. Then it gradually slopes down, goes underwater, becomes a tunnel for about 2 miles.
Why underwater?
To let the ships pass over. Remember all that traffic? His tunnel section would allow ships to sail right over the top. totally unimpeded.
Clever. Okay, so it goes underwater, then what?
Then, and this is the really wild part, it comes back up to the surface and connect to a huge artificial floating island right in the middle of the strait.
A floating island. How big?
3 miles wide. He envisioned it as a destination in itself, a man-made city, basically.
What would be on this floating city?
Get this, 24 lanes of roadway, multiple railway lines, windmills for power, gardens, theaters, markets, waterfalls, swimming pools, even a 23-story building and solar farms.
He wasn't thinking small, was he?
Not at all. He called it the potential eighth wonder of the world. It wasn't just a link. It was supposed to be a new continent, a place to go.
Incredible vision. What was it going to be made of? Something special to float and handle the stress.
Yeah, he planned on using a mix of advanced materials, special waterproof and electrolytic concrete, stainless steel, anodized aluminum, stuff designed for the marine environment.
And the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
How would this floating sea snake handle those killer currents we talked about? The ones that broke the drill bits.
His design was clever there, too. It was inspired by fish. It had a single, strong central spine for basic structure, but the main body was made of prefabricated blocks that were kind of loosely connected.
Loosely connected? Wow.
Why? So the whole structure could flex and sway with the currents, absorb the energy instead of fighting it head-on, like a flexible sea creature. It would be anchored by massive triple cables at both ends in Spain and Morocco.
Elegant. It sounds almost organic. What was the price tag on this eighth wonder?
The estimate back then was around $15 billion, which is, what, about 85,000 crores. A lot of money, but maybe not impossible for something so revolutionary.
It's an amazing concept. You can really feel the ambition. But
Right.
I have a feeling reality was about to bite, wasn't it? Those official surveys by SECEGSA and SNED must have eventually delivered some hard truths about that canyon route.
Brutal truths, unfortunately. As the Spanish and Moroccan teams gathered more detailed data, the reports effectively killed Tsui's dream and pretty much any hope for building anything easily on that shorter canyon route.
Why? What did they find down there?
They nailed down 5 huge problems. First, the depth. Tsui might have planned a floating bridge, but any traditional structure was out. That canyon route, it's 800 meters deep.
800 meters. How deep is that comparatively?
Okay, the channel tunnel, at its deepest, is only 180 meters. To build bridge pillars 800 meters tall, you'd need to stack 3 Eiffel Towers on top of each other. The cost would be unbelievable.
Right. So no bridge pillars. What about a tunnel, like the Channel Tunnel?
Also basically impossible at that depth.
Yeah.
Building a tunnel nearly 900 meters below sea level. The current record holder for the deepest undersea road tunnel is Norway's Ryfast Tunnel, and that's only 292 meters deep. 800, 900 meters is just currently beyond us.
Okay, so extreme depth is problem number 1. What's number 2?
The ground itself. The seabed on the canyon route isn't nice solid rock like the chalk under the English Channel. It's mostly this weak, crumbly mixture of clay, small rocks, and stone fragments. It's called breccia.
Breccia. Is that bad for building?
It's terrible. It's porous, unstable. Trying to anchor massive bridge pillars in it, they could just collapse. Trying to bore a tunnel through it, high risk of cave-ins. It's just about the worst material you could ask for.
Weak ground. Got it. What's problem 3?
Okay, so you've got weak stuff on top, but underneath that layer of breccia and clay, there's extremely hard rock.
Wait, so it goes from weak and crumbly to super hard.
Exactly, which makes excavation incredibly difficult and expensive, whether you're trying to sink foundations for a bridge or bore a tunnel. You need different, specialized, very costly equipment for each layer.
Depth, weak ground, hard rock.
Yeah, it's not sounding good.
Yeah.
You said 5 problems. What's number 4? This must be the big one.
This is the biggest one, the absolute deal breaker for many engineers. Remember we talked about the geology?
Yeah, the Atlantic meets the Med.
Deeper than that. Right beneath the Strait of Gibraltar is where the African continental plate crashes into the Eurasian continental plate.
Oh, right. Tectonic plates.
Exactly. And this isn't just a meeting point. It's an active fault line. These massive plates are constantly grinding against each other. It's a major seismic zone.
Seismic zone, like earthquakes. Big time. This fault line caused the devastating Lisbon earthquake back in 1755, killed maybe 60,000 people. And it's still active. There are regular tremors in the region all the time.
Okay, so what does that mean for a bridge or tunnel?
Think about it. Building a bridge with pillars anchored on 2 different pieces of the Earth's crust that are constantly moving and shaking. Even small tremor could just shatter the structure. It would be like building a house across an active earthquake fault.
And a tunnel. Can tunnels handle earthquakes?
Tunnels generally handle minor seismic activity better than bridges. The Channel Tunnel has shock absorbers, for example.
Yeah.
But trying to run a tunnel directly through a major active fault line like this, that's considered probably the single greatest engineering challenge in the world. The risk is immense.
That also explains why those early survey ships had such violent experiences, doesn't it? The vibrations, the breaking drills.
Precisely. They weren't just fighting currents. They were trying to drill into an area that's geologically unstable and under constant stress.
Okay, that's 4 huge problems. What was the 5th? Something simpler. Simpler, but still a massive headache. The sea traffic. We mentioned it before. It's one of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth.
Right. The 100,000 ship.
Huge tankers, container ships bigger than buildings, even aircraft carriers sometimes. Any bridge built there would need enormous clearance, at least 70 meters high above the water.
Which makes those 800-meter deep pillars even more ridiculously tall and expensive.
You got it. So you add up extreme depth, weak seabed, hard rock underneath, an active earthquake zone, and insane shipping traffic. The canyon route just looked impossible, or at least impossibly expensive and risky.
So Tsui's dream, the direct 14-kilometer link, basically dead in the water due to geology.
Pretty much. The focus had to shift.
Which brings us back to that other route they identified, the threshold route, the longer one.
Exactly. By the early 2000s, the Joint Spanish-Moroccan Committee officially gave up on the canyon route and put all their efforts into investigating the threshold route.
And did that look any more promising?
It did. There was a breakthrough in 2005. A research ship, the Kingfisher 05, made some crucial findings. What did they find?
They confirmed the threshold route, although longer at 28 kilometers, was much, much shallower, only about 300 meters deep, not 800.
Okay, 300 meters is still deep, but way more manageable than 800.
Absolutely. And crucially, the layers of weak clay and sand were also shallower, maybe 400 meters thick, and there was less of that super hard rock underneath.
So it basically solved, what, 3 of the 5 big problems? Depth, weak ground, hard rock.
Largely, yes. The seismic issue is still a factor in the region, of course, and the tragic remains. But the immediate geological showstoppers of the canyon route weren't as bad on the threshold route.
That must have felt like a huge step forward, a genuine possibility again.
It was. Based on this new data, they finalized a new plan.
Not a floating bridge, I assume.
No, The plan now is for tunnels, specifically 3 tunnels running along this longer, shallower threshold route.
3 tunnels. Why 3?
2 main tunnels for high-speed railway lines, one heading north, one south, and a third, central tunnel, purely for service, maintenance, and emergency access. Similar to the Channel Tunnel setup.
Okay, a rail tunnel link. Makes sense. What were the expected benefits if they actually build this?
The benefits would be huge. Travel times would plummet. Imagine going from Casablanca in Morocco to Madrid in Spain. That currently takes about 12 hours.
Okay.
With a tunnel, it could be cut down to just 5.5 hours.
Wow. Less than half the time.
Exactly. And think about freight, goods trading. It would provide a massive boost to the economies of both countries and create a much more direct link for trade between Africa and Europe.
It really sounds like they'd finally cracked it, engineering-wise. Did things start moving then?
They did seem to be. In 2006, the project tender was actually awarded to a Swiss company, Lombardy Engineering. Things looked positive. Spanish ministers were even talking optimistically about starting construction by 2008.
So nearly 2 decades ago, they were almost ready to start digging. What happened? Why aren't we riding trains under the strait today?
This is where the story takes another frustrating turn. Just when the engineering and geological hurdles seemed manageable, politics got in the way. Big time.
Politics between Spain and Morocco.
Exactly. The geology wasn't the main obstacle anymore. It was diplomacy, or rather, a lack of it.
What specifically caused the delay?
Well, remember 2008, when they hoped work would start? That year, the King of Spain visited Ceuta and Melilla.
Okay, aren't those the 2 Spanish cities that are physically located on the North African coast surrounded by Morocco?
That's them. They're Spanish territories, but Morocco considers them occupied land, colonial remnants. They are strategically vital right near the strait's entrance.
So the king's visit.
Morocco saw it as a provocation. Relations soured very quickly. Morocco recalled its ambassador from Spain, and boom, the tunnel project was put on ice. Indefinitely.
Just like that, over a state visit.
It sounds small, but these territorial disputes run deep and are highly sensitive. It was enough to halt momentum completely.
And was that the only time politics interfered?
Sadly, no. Fast forward to 2020, another diplomatic incident. Spain allowed a leader of the Western Sahara independence movement, a group Morocco considers rebels, to receive medical treatment in Spain.
Okay, and Morocco saw that as Spain undermining them.
Precisely. They interpreted it as Spain siding with the rebels. Relations broke down again, and once again, the Gibraltar Tunnel project stalled.
So it's basically been stop-start since 2008, mostly stop, because of these diplomatic rows.
That's pretty much the story from 2008 right up to, well, practically today. Almost 2 decades lost, not because of engineering challenges, but because of political disagreements and a lack of trust between the two key partners.
Which raises a question, why does the rest of the world care so much? If Spain and Morocco can't agree, why is there international pressure?
Because, as we discussed at the start, this strait isn't just their backyard, it's a vital global artery.
Right, the 50% of global trade.
Exactly. Major powers, the US, the UK, China, India, the whole EU,
Mhm.
they all understand how critical this passage is. They see the risk of relying solely on open water passage, especially with geopolitical tensions rising.
So they see a tunnel as a crucial backup, an alternative.
Yes, and as a way to increase stability and capacity. A blockage in the strait, deliberate or accidental, would be catastrophic for the global economy. So there's significant international pressure on both Spain and Morocco to sort out their differences and get this tunnel built. It's seen as an urgent global necessity now.
It's incredible, really. We've gone from, Sergal's dream of draining the sea through battling impossible currents and depths, confronting earthquake faults, real monumental physical challenges.
Challenges that engineers, over decades, largely figured out how to overcome, at least on the threshold route.
And yet the final hurdle, the one that's kept this project stuck for years now, isn't rock or water or seismic activity. It's human disagreement, political trust.
It really seems that way.
Yeah.
Maybe the lesson here is that before you can build a physical bridge or tunnel connecting continents,
The two sides need to build a bridge of trust first. Something like that. So when you think about everything we've covered, what stands out to you more? The sheer scale of those geological and engineering problems they faced for so long? Or the fact that deep-seated political issues are what's stopping it now, even with a workable plan on the table?
that's the question for everyone listening to ponder, isn't it? It seems the future of this vital global link isn't in the hands of engineers anymore. It rests with the diplomats.